guys? Welcome back to Castle Combat TV, and in this video, I will be covering some Whiteback Castle Combat cards. And for the people that are new to the game and haven't really seen a lot of Whitebacks, I'm going to show you some cards that have like really cool abilities, and some of the abilities I'm going to show you guys are actually still around today. So here is a picture of the first Pharaoh Frostbite. So if you guys recognize it, it's a Frostbite art, but that was Pharaoh Frostbite. He was a power 4, 2 out of 3, Pride of the Ancient Kings. Pharaoh always wins ties. His foe goes to dungeon on a tie. So most of these cards are not very good, but some of them are actually really interesting because they're just worded poorly. And just looking at the 10-year difference, you have the Frostbite and you have like this variant. So you have the shiny cards, the plaque, everything is different. So this is like a 10-year evolution photo. It's like then and now. So, all right, so now let's move on to cards that I can actually show. I have Creaky the Old. So Creaky the Old, a very interesting card. Everyone on field of battle, including his team, cannot use their special abilities. This includes warriors whose ability is to negate special abilities. So this is basically an auto negate card, negates all your allies and negates all your foes. So I was gonna build a deck around it, like with Othelon and Admiral Octobubble's wolf form. So that's Creaky the Old. Moving on to our next card, we have Morgana. So Queen Morgana, epic battle, no mercy. If she calls an epic battle, then she can arrange the match it how she wants. This Morgana has the Romulus arrange ability. So the Romulus did not invent the arrange the epic battle. Queen Morgana is responsible for that, and it's kind of funny because they are married now. So that is Morgana the Merciless, or Queen Morgana the Merciless. Now moving on to our next card, we have the Electric King, the ruler of the yellow bad guys. If you win, you can bring back a Thunder Dragon from dungeon to your hand. So obviously this card is not around. I like Queen Ant more, but the Electric King, very funny card there. A lot of people don't know that that card actually exists. Moving on to our next two cards, we have Otho the Owl and Pump King. The reason why I'm showing these together is because they both are auto negates no matter what. Otho can negate his foe's special abilities, and Pump King is also the same thing. He can negate his foe's special ability. You'll never see a card nowadays that will auto negate. You will always have to roll for it or have to do something, because an auto negate is just way too good. I know there's an Otho the Owl out there that allows you to reroll the ones, but that was just like a misprint on the card. Moving on to our next card, it is Thermo the Magnificent. So this card doesn't even have a special ability. Rival all Dragon Lords. This was Thermo in his prime, Lord of the Volcano, ruled most of Sagenheim, believed by most to be the greatest Dragon Lord of all time. I believe Onyx III and I guess now Cole the Torch are the best dragons. All right, so now moving on to our next four cards, we have the triplets of the red Good Guy Castle and Princess Current. So Princess Current, epic battle, most fair. No knight will roll attack die versus her. Use their power score only. So she basically says your opponent doesn't get a battle roll if they're a knight. Calls it epic battle, so that's pretty cool. And if you want to get technical with it, these cards right here are Sagenheim cards, and this is an Altera card because the power number is on the opposite side, but obviously Altera did not exist. That was not thought of until like 2020. So all these three cards all team up with each other. So team up with Triplet Rose, Orchid, Tulip, and then Tulip and Rose. So obviously they're not around anymore. I don't think I'll ever bring them back because they're pretty useless, because team up is pretty obsolete in the face of epic battle. So now moving on to our next card, we have Metal Robot. So this is actually the first hint at cosmic combat and aliens. This is only the beginning. Who knew that war could come from the sky? So pretty cool card there. There's no ability. Moving on to our next 7 cards, we have the Slug Dog. So Slug Dogs, I'm not gonna go over any of them because they all don't really do that good, but back in the days at camp, there was Slug Dog Racing, so I don't know exactly what it was. It might have been like Pig Racing, if you guys are in the Jamboree, where it's just like roll a die and who can finish first. I think it's kind of the same thing, but Slug Dogs, very, very cool cards. I guess it's a collector's item if you're like an OG, especially for people who like Whitebacks. So those are basically all the cards that I can actually like place on this like map right here. Now moving on to our next card, we have Monster Plant. So Monster Plant, I believe he is the original Bog Lord. No card had the ability to roll equal or higher than auto win. Moving on to our next card, it is Namar Zelman. So I'm assuming that's like a fan-made card, but it's power 0. It's basically a pixel wizard. It has the prize wizard art. Now moving on, we have Odin King. So Odin King has been around for a while. The art is just atrocious. So he's a 5 with an epic battle, and he still has a Saga Surge, but you have to say Odin King out loud to add them together. Odin King has definitely come a long way. Hopefully we never see that card again, because that card is just a crime. So now moving on to our next card, we have Bad Sir Drake. So this one actually says Cursed by the Sword of Thorns. So Sword of Thorns does not exist. There's no card. So I guess it was kind of made up, but maybe in the future we'll see the Sword of Thorns at some point. But if you guys don't know, the Lord Bad Sir Drake was cursed by the sword Curse, so maybe the Sword of Thorns was just the Curse and we just didn't have a name for it at the time. Moving on to our next card, this is one of the most popular cards of all time. It is Romulus. So Romulus, he was not a general, he was just a werewolf, so he just rerolls ones. That is just a really funny card. So Romulus also has come a long way. Now moving on to our next card, it is Wild Wheeled Forest Goon Warlord. So a lot of people might recognize that card is Goon Bashi. Before battle, make a chopping motion with your hand. If you do that, then you can roll 3s if you wish. So pretty interesting card right there, but a lot of people don't really use Goon Bashi because, in my opinion, it's just too much math because you roll 3 dice, add them together, divide by 2. You can figure that out, but it's just easier to roll 3 dice and just choose the best. But yeah, that is Wild Wheeled. Moving on to our next card, it is Prize Wizard. So this is the original Prize Wizard. He was not a red good guy, he was actually a blue good guy. So power 5, if Prize Wizard loses battle, he can bring back any card from the dungeon to the winners. This is a really good card. So if you have this card, you can actually make a lot of combos with it because if he loses, he heals a card and he only goes to dungeon, he doesn't remove himself. So this is a card you're looking for. So if you're running a blue command deck or are going to start using blue good guys, definitely look for this Prize Wizard. He is very, very strong and he's a 5/2. So that's an example of a card actually being good. Moving on to our next card, we have Mother May I. So it's always important to use your manners. So your opponent must say Mother May I before they roll a die. If they forgot, then you automatically lose they automatically lose the battle. You must tell this rule to them before the battle starts. It's 2 out of 3. So manners very important, I guess. This is just a very, very funny card. And it's a neutral, can be included in any good guy army. So if your opponent's kind of annoying, just use this card and then they have to say Mother May I before they roll and stuff like that. So a lot of these cards are just really funny. So we have a couple cards left. Here's another one. Bigfoot literally has no ability. It's just a 5. Feed me and I will fight. He's a neutral, I believe a neutral gray, I think. It might be a neutral blue, I can't really tell, but it's whatever. Moving on to another card, we have King Crash, like the Yeti Elder. If you're collecting all the kings like King Kong, King Ku, King Cray, this is the hardest king to get because I think he was the first ever 2 out of 3 anger management. If King Crash wins around a battle, then his power goes up by 1. So if you're trying to collect all the kings, that's pretty unique. That is one of the hardest ones to get, and I don't know how many are out there because I haven't seen any of it. So now moving on to our next card, we have Percival the Pure. So yes, that is a real card right here. Obviously the art is definitely not there. The one we have today is the one that the dragon wrapped around the Grill Tower, which I think is pretty cool. This one's +1 versus bad guys and -1 versus good guys. Rivalry Onyx 3rd. When I found that in the files, I'm like, I have to make a video. So that is Percival the Pure. Now moving on to our last 2 cards, we have Burno, Son of Thermo. So Burno is very sly and slick. Before battle, you can put your foe back in your opponent's hand and select a different card from their hand to battle with. So Rivalry Torchy the Terrible. So that just goes to show you that Thermax is actually not the first son of Thermo. I'm assuming Burno was. And speaking of Torchy the Terrible, that is our next card. So power 3, so +1 versus beasts, princesses, and jesters, son of Cole the Torch. So I don't think Cole the Torch has a son. So maybe we will see a Torchy the Terrible card in the future, but a lot of people don't know this. So if I were to ask people who was Thermo's first son, everyone would have probably said Thermax, but the correct answer would be Burnos. And yeah, that's basically all the Whitebacks I have to show you guys today. So obviously 10 years ago, Castle Combat looked a lot different, but it has come a long way, and I don't think we'll ever see the cards go past like this type of style because you have like the big power number, the JJ Stencil font, the plaque. I think we finally reached the peak of Castle Combat cards when it comes to the card layout, not the art, because we're obviously going to be moving in the direction towards AI generated art. So that is basically it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, that's basically everything I have to say in this video. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.